Now here we have these two shocks right here. We've got the signature red and white Ranchos and the signature blue and yellow Bilsteins. Welcome back to Garage Matters. Now, last night I went ahead and swapped out the rear shocks on this 2025 Chevy SIlverado 2500 HD. Now we've got the back already swapped out with the Bilsteins, but we do have the fronts that we need to do as well too. So again, if you're just joining us, we are swapping out the OEM Ranchos with these Bilstein 4600s. And once again, I went with the 4600s because this truck is not lifted. It is still on the factory suspension, well, the factory ride height, and I don't plan on lifting this truck in the future. So that's why I went ahead and went with the 4600s. And not only that, I do have experience with this shock on my 2010 Nissan Frontier, and it rides like a dream, at least for me. And I think this is all gonna be personal preference on what you like, but I like a harder, firmer suspension. And with the firmness of these shocks, it's just gonna give me more confidence while driving on the interstate, especially once it starts raining. Now, some of the tools that we are gonna need are a 21mm socket, or you could use a wrench. I've got both because you're gonna need a backing wrench as well. Now, you're gonna need some kind of flathead screwdriver as well too. And then we are gonna need a 19mm since we're using these Bilsteins. Now, Bilstein, they do provide you new locking nuts as well too inside of this bag, and these nuts are 19mm, so that's why we need this one right here. And then this is optional, but it's gonna help make things a whole lot faster. This is for these nuts up here as well. So this is a 19mm as well. Once you go to install this, it's gonna help make it a whole lot easier because this wrench is not a ratcheting wrench. Now, another thing that I didn't think we were gonna need, but we do need, is this Torx. So this is actually from over here. So it is a T10. So we're gonna need a T10 Torx screwdriver right here. And the reason being is, I think I might have already shown you guys this before, but I haven't understood why GM likes to use this stuff, but right here, we're gonna have to use this to undo this fastener right here to give us a little more clearance to access the nuts up here. Now, let's get back over here and do what I think everyone likes to see is just do a little compression test of these shocks right here. Now here we have these two shocks right here. We've got the signature red and white Ranchos and the signature blue and yellow Bilsteins. We'll go ahead and test out this one. Now again, this truck has only about 4,300 miles on it. So this, I'm gonna say this is still a brand new shock because this is a brand new truck. This is what this truck came with, and it's only got about 4,300 miles on it. I'm gonna go ahead and compress this one. Just see if there's anything weird with this one. See if it comes back up normally. So let's go ahead and compress it. Okay, now, these Ranchos have always rode a little soft. All right, so it's already bottom out. So we're gonna go ahead and release it. And all right, so it is coming up nice, slow, and steady. Okay, I'm gonna compress it just a little. All right, so as soon as I apply some pressure, I do feel the dampening. So let me shake this one. Okay, so you can kind of hear the fluid in there. I think it might be normal, but I noticed that yesterday when I was swapping out the rear Bilsteins, you couldn't hear anything, but this is, I'm gonna say, pretty normal. Still a good one. It's not leaking, it's not busted or anything. It goes back to its normal resting position just fine. So this is still fine for about 4,000 miles. Now let's go ahead and just do a compression test on this Bilstein. Now this is a brand new one, haven't been used yet, so there shouldn't be any issues at all, but it's always good to test these parts before you install it on your truck. Now I'm just gonna apply a little pressure and just see if it's gonna dampen. All right, so obviously this feels good. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and compress it, bottom this shock out, and then just release it. Now the firmness of this is a little firmer than the Ranchos. All right, so it's bottom out. I'm gonna go ahead and release it. Wow. This one actually came up a little faster. It seemed like it didn't travel that far. So they are about the same height. Now let's compare both of them. I'm gonna do my best to compress both of them at the same time and bottom them out. Okay, I can tell you that doing this, okay, I can't do it. Okay, all right guys, with all my body weight on, I can't do it. I can only do one at a time, but I can tell you the Bilstein is definitely more firmer, harder to press down. But it's kind of weird, even though this Bilstein is firmer when you're trying to compress it, when it comes back up, it is a little faster on the rebound, which is, I think is kind of weird, but let's take a look at it again. All right, all right. Okay, so it seemed like the travel wasn't that far. Let me try this one more time, show you guys. Okay, this one's easier. Definitely softer, right? Okay, now it did seem like this one traveled a little bit farther, but it did come up a little bit slower. So as far as dampening, it goes down faster, but it comes back up slower. So I think that might be why this shock rides the way it does. It's a little bouncy on the interstate, and for me, I just don't like that. So we'll go ahead and get this one swapped in to the truck. So come on over here, let me show you how we're gonna do this. All right, so let's come up to the driver's side. We're right where the tire is at. So over here, there is this Torx screw right here. We're gonna use this driver right here and just stick it in here and back it out. And I'm not gonna bore you guys with this, so I'm just gonna skip this part, but basically all I'm doing is just taking this off, and then this piece is gonna split in half, and it should give us more clearance to access the nuts back here. Now with this fastener removed, what I didn't realize is that there is one more right underneath here. So I really can't show you guys, but right here, you gotta remove this fastener as well too. All right guys, so I was trying to remove this fastener right under here, but it seems like it's gonna be so much easier if we take this tire off. And I'm not trying to do any extra work and remove this tire. So what I'm gonna try to do is just see if I can access these nuts without having to take off these fasteners and remove this liner. So on the passenger side, I didn't have to remove this at all. I just lifted this up and I had enough clearance. So I'm gonna try to do that on this side as well. Now once you get underneath here, you're gonna need your flathead screwdriver. And there are these caps on the studs of this shock right here. And right above this nut right here on the stud, there is a little cap that you need to remove. And all you're gonna do is just pop it off like that and it'll come right off. Hopefully y'all can see this, but what I'm doing is just lifting this up, pushing it back, and then removing this cap on here off the stud. And that is gonna allow us to access the stud and remove this nut off the stud. Okay. All right, now seems like it is off. Now we are just gonna move this out of the way. And I really hate that Chevy has just done this, but oh man, this side sucks. It sucks because they have this other wiring harness right in the way. What I did is just pull this wiring harness up and out towards me. Now we can fit this wrench right on top of these two nuts right here. Now, I don't know why the driver's side is like this, but take a look at this, guys. On the passenger side, it was so much easier. They didn't have this plastic piece right behind here, but with this plastic piece behind here, look at what happens when I try to put the box end of this wrench on here. It doesn't fit. There's not enough clearance on here. Now on the passenger side, I had no issues using this. Now what it appears like we need to do is use the open end of this wrench and stick it on here. And I'm gonna guess that it's not really on here that tight, but this is the only way we're gonna be able to get this removed. So let's go ahead and break this torque. All right, so it looks like it's coming right off. It's coming off really easily, so luckily it wasn't even on here tight to begin with. Take a look at that. It is coming right off just like that. And we're just gonna do the same thing with the one on the other side. So just use the open end side and just start backing it off. It's gonna take a little while, but at least we can get it off. All right, now before we go any farther, I left the top installed. I didn't take the nuts off completely yet because I just wanted to see if we could access these top mounting bolts. Now, the reason why we're gonna leave the top installed is because it's gonna make it easier when we remove the bottom ones. The bottom ones, they have plenty of clearance to access the fasteners down here. So on the head side, what I'm gonna do is just use a socket to hold it in place and then use the ratcheting wrench on the nut side to back it off. And let's move this around so I can show you guys right here, and then directly on the opposite side as well. So right up in here. All right, so that's what we're gonna do. Let me set this camera down and then we'll start backing off this nut. Now once you got this nut removed on the other side, you can kind of just wiggle this around and then move this bolt right on out, and it should just come right on out. You might have to wiggle this shock a little to get just enough play in here to get it on out, just to relieve some of the tension on it. All right, come on. All right. Alright, there he goes. And then we're just gonna move this to the side, let it extend. The reason why I'm letting it extend is that way, once I remove the two nuts on the top side here, this shock is just gonna come right on out this back side right here. Now, y'all can't see me, but I'm actually on the top side again, and what I'm doing is just removing these two nuts up here. That way we can remove this shock out of the way. And this is gonna take a little bit of time because I can't get a socket on here, nor can I get the box end of this wrench on here. All right guys, we are down to the last nut, and y'all can't see me, but I'm gonna go ahead and drop this shock from the top side, and it's just gonna come straight on down just like this. And all right, so it's gonna come out like this. and we just pulled it out from back and underneath there. So bring this over here, and we are not gonna need this hardware again. We're just gonna attach it onto this stud right here, and what I'll probably end up doing is just keeping these two because they still feel like they are still good. Oh yeah, this one is still good. So these front ones are still good, surprisingly. It was just that rear one from yesterday that I was having an issue with. Seemed like it was just not working. Now, with these old ones removed, let's go ahead and finish up this job. And what I'm gonna do is just go ahead and get this hardware removed from this packaging, bring this back over there, and all we're gonna do is just pretty much reverse order. Now we're just gonna line this up to the mounting holes up top, secure it to the top first, and then come back from the bottom side to compress the bottom half of this shock, line it up with the bottom mounting holes, and then bolt it on up. Now it's gonna be kind of hard to show you guys back up underneath in there. So once we get this shock installed, what I'm gonna do is just put the washer first and then this locking nut on top. So it's washer, locking nut, and the same thing on this side, washer, locking nut. All right, let's get this shock installed, guys. We're just gonna reach in from the back side, slide it out up in here. So I'm just gonna go like this. Okay, and then make sure you go inside of this upper control arm. And then what I'm gonna do, set the camera down, line it up to the mounting holes up here, put the washer and lock nut on. And so it's gonna be washer and then this lock nut right on top. So this is probably the best camera angle that I am going to be able to get, because this really stupid design is just not ideal. Not ideal for me. It's doable, not as easy as it was on the passenger side. Alright guys, so about 10 minutes of messing around with these two nuts up here, they are finally installed. Now, as you can tell, there's not a lot of clearance back behind here. So luckily I was able to get the box end of that wrench onto these nuts. Now this wiring harness right here, I did have to move it down just a little bit lower, and I have these clips, these caps resting on this bottom part of this bracket right here, just to give me a little more clearance to work in here. Now, this is done for now. Everything's temp installed. I left it temp installed, that way I can move the shock from underneath to line up the bolt holes down there. So let's go ahead, get back underneath this vehicle, get this last bolt installed, and tighten everything down. Alright guys, here comes the part I really don't like. Only because we are not using any jacks, any lifts. So what we're gonna have to do is compress this shock, line up this bolt hole with the mounting hole on this bracket right here, and we're just gonna have to, as what some people would call, manhandle this back up into here. Alright, so once we got the bolt started, we're just gonna go ahead and start cranking it in. That way it can feed itself through these bolt holes right here. That is definitely good. Let's get back up to the top side. Alright guys, so back underneath here, I am just coming back up here to tighten down these nuts right here. So we just want to make sure they're tightened, and then go ahead and put these caps back on to the studs right here. And I'll catch you guys here in a little bit as soon as I get this reinstalled. Now let's come over here, and that's how they say, out with the old, in with the new. Let's see what's going on down here now. Now, remember how I was telling you guys and complaining how the passenger side is so much easier? Let me show you why. Come on down here, look at this. We've got this ratchet and this 19mm socket on here. I put a short one on. You're gonna need a short one if you're doing the passenger side, but look, I don't even have to remove any of this on the passenger side. There's so much clearance down here. I can just fit this right back in here, just like this. And it was so much easier doing the passenger side because I have more clearance. But let's take a look at this shock down here. All right, here we go. Got the Bilsteins on. Now let's check out the other side. Let's check out the driver's side. Now, this driver's side really sucks for me. There's you're looking right here, you can't even see the studs or the nuts up here. You have to push this back, one hand holding this back if you don't want to remove these fasteners. One hand holding this back, and then your left hand is doing the work as far as removing this wiring harness and these nuts from the top. Now, this part sucked a whole lot on the driver's side, but let's come down here and take a look at the shock on the driver's side. So here we go. All right, isn't this beautiful? I am totally loving this blue and yellow. Good results on my 2010 Frontier, and I'm pretty sure that it's gonna be good results on this truck as well. And while we're down here, take a look at this blue thing right here. I'm pretty sure that's the oil filter, and what I love about this truck so far is that when it's time for an oil change, I could do it right here in my own garage. The oil filter's right here. It's not hidden behind any panels. It's not up inside the engine bay. Easily accessible from the ground and up. And right there looks like this the drain plug as well. So when it's time for an oil change and we run out of the complimentary oil change that came with this truck, I'll go ahead and show you guys how we did that. Now, let's take a look at the rear. The rear's already done. We did these last night. And take a look at the other side as well too. All right. Now we've got Bilsteins 4600s on all four sides of this 2500. Now I would like to say that I'm not gonna do the road test just today yet. I'll probably save that for maybe tomorrow, then take this truck out on the interstate, and it'll probably just be unloaded because I don't have a trailer right now. And when I do have a trailer, I'll probably put this car on the trailer and take it up to the mountains and go driving in the mountains, and then just see how this truck performs towing a load. So the trailer is probably about 2,500 pounds. This car right here is probably about 3,000 pounds. So we're gonna be towing maybe around close to 6,000 pounds with this truck on these new Bilstein 4600 shocks. Now, I will say that since this is a Chevrolet and we're gonna be on the interstate with these new Bilstein shocks, the ride is gonna be a whole lot firmer and it's gonna be driving like a rock. Now, firmer ride on this firmer suspension, towing a load, that is what this heavy duty 2500 pickup truck is all about. And that's really a personal preference when it comes to how your truck rides. I like a firmer ride because of the stability, and I just feel more confident, especially when it's raining and you're driving on the interstate. Now that's gonna do it this time for Garage Matters. Make sure you hit that like and subscribe button and join us next time on Garage Matters.